YouTube, let's do another video. So I want to title this one, Don't Believe the Hype. And it's going to be in regard to the herbivore men of Japan. So, often, you know, in, not just in the MGTOW community, but just in the general press, the general media, we usually hear all the time these accounts of the plummeting, not just the plummeting birth rate in Japan, but the fact that the men there have become herbivore men, that they basically, they no longer have no interest, that they no longer have any interest in dating, courtship, sex, marriage, etc. And so often in the MGTOW community, the herbivore men are cited as like the progenitors, as the original MGTOWs. They were MGTOW before it came to the West, or before it became big in the West. And you know, the media, especially just regular newspapers, they love to run these sensationalized tabloid stories, these, you know, pieces of yellow journalism about how bad it is in Japan, that 40% of all Japanese in their 30s or 40s are virgins. All of these crazy accounts, right? That's what we hear. And it's sort of, you know, people come away with the impression that people in Japan are just, you know, that they're, you know, the sexes don't like each other, the men don't want to have anything to do with the women. And I'm skeptical about this. I always sort of adopt a contrarian viewpoint on these things, and I don't really buy into the hype. Let me tell you why. If you ever watch just video clips, footage of different places in Japan, Tokyo, the night districts, the shopping areas, whatever, just footage, you know, taken by regular people or in documentaries. Tell me what you see. What I've noticed when I watch clips of, you know, just life in Japan, I see tons of couples. Okay, check it out. I mean, look at like footage from documentaries or whatever, and you know, they could be in a mall, it could just be on the streets, it could be wherever. You see a lot of Japanese couples, young Japanese couples. You see a guy and a girl walking together. Okay, they're walking together. They're holding on to each other. And even in America. So when I used to live in New York, and when I still go back occasionally, if you sort of meander through, I want to say like Times Square, this is where I usually have seen it. But then also just other touristy places, whether they're museums or whatever, Central Park, whatever. Occasionally you'll see Japanese couples, and there's a very easy way to kind of tell who's Japanese. I don't have to listen, you know, to hear them speak. It's that they have a very weird, peculiar fashion sense, very different from, say, the Koreans or the Chinese. If these are like younger Japanese people, maybe under the age of like, I want to say 25 or so, they dress very weirdly. The only way to put it is, it's not sexy for the women, it's definitely very fucking weird for the men. It's like very kind of androgynous looking, like, I swear the men wear what looks like a dress, like a long kind of dress, like maybe they have pants on, but then they'll have like it's like a long skirt, and the girls do the same thing. It's like they got pants on and sneakers, but then they have like this kind of, instead of like tying like a sweatshirt around your waist, it's like some weird thing that kind of goes down. They just dress very fucking goofy looking, and apparently this is the in style. I don't even know what style of dress or what genre this is part of. It's not goth. It's not you know, emo. It's not. I don't know what it is. It's maybe somebody will know. They'll point it out. But that's something that only the Japanese will wear. It's weird. It's not any style that I recognize. So it's definitely unique to them. But it's always a guy and a girl together. It's always a guy and a girl. And when I see footage of people in Japan, I see a ton of couples walking around holding hands, going to the shopping centers together. So how do we reconcile these things? And there's more to it. I mean, there's in Japan, women who are unmarried past the age of 25, they're referred to as Christmas cakes or fruit cakes, because just like in the West, nobody wants a Christmas cake or a fruit cake after Christmas, after December 25th. These women are regarded as leftovers and are unwanted if they're single past the age of 25. So there is very strong family and social pressure on these women to marry before they turn 25, which is unheard of here in the West. I mean, with the Sex and the City attitude that they promote, where it's not just 35-year-old women who are hitting their peak, it's 45-year-old women like Samantha and Carrie and Miranda. I mean, these women were, I don't even think in their 30s during Sex and the City. I think they were in their 40s. And then I think when they had those movies like Sex and the City and Sex and the City 2, I think they were in their 50s. They must have been, because those movies came out like in 2008 or something. So they were in their 50s by then, with Sarah Jessica Parker and the other people who played, the other women who played those characters. So, and it was showing them like, doing, I don't know, crazy shit, going to Dubai or some rich place in the Middle East, and they were being treated like queens and shit. I mean, just insane shit. These women are in their fucking 50s, or Samantha's 50 years old, but she's and has fucked 10,000 men. She has all these fucking STDs, but she gets a 22-year-old male model as a boyfriend, and then she dumps him. It's like, holy shit. That's the idea that's promoted in the West, in America, that women can have it all. And it's sad too, because you see these actual accounts. I guess just recently, Prince Harry from the House of Windsor, eventually, I guess, when his grandmother will pass away at the age of 192 years old, Queen Elizabeth, he would be the king of England, I'm guessing. So, or maybe his brother. But anyway, he's a prince, and like he's marrying some, I don't know, an actress, an American actress who's like 36 years old. So she's like 3 years older than he is, and it's like, wow, the heir to the British throne, the guy that all these women would love, the best he could do is a 36-year-old divorcee. Who's a 36-year-old divorcee. It's what message does that send to other women, except, yeah, you can fuck around, sleep with random guys for 25 years, and still land a literal prince. So, but that's not what's taught in Japan or China. So I'm very skeptical about these claims about herbivore men. I think it's vastly overstated. I think it's overblown, and I think, if anything, the gender dynamic in Japan is better than what it is here in the West. I think there's this tendency, again, it's like crabs in a barrel, or this totem pole way of thinking. We don't have it the best, but just be grateful we're not in Japan. Oh boy, can you imagine being in Japan? It'd be even worse. I don't think so. I think if you were actually to go there and explore it firsthand and put boots on the ground, I think you would come away with the impression that, or with the realization that, actually things in Japan are actually better than they are here in the States in terms of gender dynamic. That's what I would wager. I think it's vastly overstated. I think it's overhyped, and it's done with kind of malicious intent, because they run these stories in the newspapers. Because, like I said, you don't just hear about it in the MGTOW forums or on YouTube. You can hear about it in the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times about, oh, Japanese people aren't having sex. Why do Japanese people hate sex? They're not having sex. They're not dating. It's a way to make you sheep here in America be grateful for the absolute dog shit that you have in this country. That's what it's done. Okay, I've never been to Japan. I probably will never go to Japan. 99.9% of the people in this country have never been to Japan, will never go to Japan. So you know what? They could tell you anything under the sun. Okay? They could say people in Japan wear shoes on their feet, or sorry, they wear shoes on their hands, and they walk around upside down. You wouldn't know what to believe. You'd be like, oh, okay, I guess so. Well, in Rand McNally, hamburgers eat people. Okay. Most people know more about Middle Earth than they do about Japan. So I think it's overstated, and I think they try to, make it sound horrible. Like, oh, Japan, it's so bad. The women there don't, the men are going herbivore, and not from what I see. From what I see like I said, I watch like travel documentaries or whatever. I see a ton of Japanese couples walking around holding hands. I see Japanese couples, not too many, not nearly as many as Chinese or Korean, but a few here in Japan, here in New York City. And they dress kind of weird. I don't know what style they're going for, but it's a man and a woman walking around. I remember seeing this a couple times, whether it was in Times Square. Another time I had to go, where was it? It was like sort of around Midtown or something. Anyway, I walked there because I had to drop off a computer for my laptop to get repaired, and or I was recovering data from some hard drives. I don't know. So I went to some data recovery place, and I saw a couple of these weirdos walking around. Just like a weird style. I don't know how to even put it. They're like wearing like weird tunics, just whatever goofy style they think looks good, but. It wasn't like Hello Kitty or anything, but it was just kind of a weird style. I recognized that they were Japanese. But it's always a guy and a girl. So I think it's vastly overstated, and I think it's done with a malicious intent, because the powers that be, the media, the press, they want you as a stupid American to think that you have it the best. They want you to think you have it the best. Despite the problems, America's still the best. No, it isn't. And so they put this bullshit out there that all of these countries are so dysfunctional. I don't think they are. From what I see a lot of Japanese couples. Whenever I see footage from Japan, if you filmed a similar thing here in the States, you wouldn't see as many couples. So yeah, I think it's agenda driven to make people think that other countries are worse off. And also keep in mind, in Japan, they have zero immigration. So you know what? The guys really don't have to knock themselves out. The guys kind of like, if the women don't like it, tough shit. If you don't like that the Japanese guys are overweight or too skinny or spend too much time playing video games, tough luck, honey, because that's all you got to choose from. The government has that country locked down, and nobody's getting in. No fucking migrants, no refugees, nobody. It's all Japanese. So you know what? Japanese men, they don't have really much competition. Unlike in the West, unlike in Europe, unlike in North America, where the governments actually fucking hate their own people and actually try to make their lives as miserable and horrible and unpleasant as possible by fucking bringing in millions and millions and millions of foreign men. And I remember being in a conversation at the gym with there was a guy from Taiwan that I knew from grad school, and he was from Taiwan, not from mainland China, but from Taiwan. And we got to talking, and he was saying like, oh, you should go to Taiwan. The girls there love white guys. And I said, that's not what I heard. And I said, why? So they love white guys. How many white guys are in Taiwan? 5? How many white guys live in Taiwan? 10? And he said, oh, girls in Japan love black guys. And I said, I don't believe that. I don't know why it would be so different from one island to another. From, Taiwan, they love white women, but in Japan, they love niggers. I don't think so. I mean, besides, how many niggers are in Japan? 5? Oh, okay, you got 5 niggers in Japan, okay? it's I don't believe the hype. Okay, I don't believe the hype. I definitely don't think white guys are a hit in Taiwan. I definitely don't think niggers are a hit in Japan. And whatever. I mean, how many foreigners are in these countries? A handful, practically none. So I don't believe this hype about the herbivore men. I'm sorry. I think it's agenda driven. It's designed to make people who are legitimately TFL or Incel in this country feel slightly less bad about their predicament, about their situation, and I don't think it's true. I think the dynamic is still pretty healthy in Japan. The women are pressured to get married at a very young age, so I think it is just a sort of sensationalized hype, And there was an article just recently in the newspaper, and it was talking about pickup artists is setting up shop in China because of the massive gender imbalance. They said in the article there are like 40 million more men than women in China, and I guess this has spurred the growth of pickup artistry. People, dating coaches who will try to guide these hopeless guys who have never had a date in their lives and teach them, what to say or how to dress, etc. And let's take a piss. And I guess it's big business there. And these desperate guys will pay a lot of money for guidance and how to attract women because of the practice of female infanticide or female abortion, that the country has a lot more men than women. So a lot of these guys are just going to go home go without. So in these stories, it's funny how they would never run a similar story about incels or TFLers here in America. You never see an article like that. And here they are trying to portray in a sad light or a sympathetic light Xinjiang Ding Pong, who's 25 years old and has never kissed a girl. Well, tough shit, fuckface. Okay, there are plenty of American men in a similar situation. I've gone 3 fucking years without having sex. It's been 4 years since I started to date somebody. Why are there no sympathetic articles in the New York Times or the Washington Post about white American men who are in a similar boat? Okay, because there are a lot of us, and they write this fucking story. It's so sad. Xinjiang Ding Pong. There are just no women around. Well, tough shit, fuckface. I don't care. Why the fuck would I care about some person who's not my blood, who's not my fucking background? He's not my culture. He's not anything. Okay, where are the sympathetic articles about men in America who are living TFL or who are incel? Huh? It's funny, they only talk about foreigners who can't manage to find a woman or have a family. Oh, he's not gonna have a family. Well, tough fucking shit. Okay? They would never write an article about incel TFL right here in the good old United States of America. Instead, we would be, they're creepy, they're losers, they live in their parents' basement, they just weren't hardworking enough, they weren't ambitious enough to get a woman. But Zing Dong Ding Pong, he's just a victim of circumstance. So be careful of these articles. They're sensationalist and are sensationalized, and they have an agenda. Because, like I said, they want to make you think that things are worse elsewhere in the world, and that we're number one. Oh, it's so great here in America. It's like that Marilyn Manson song, the fight song. It starts off with like this billboard showing like 1950s America, like people barbecuing, and it goes, "We're all happy to live in America." That's what they want you to think, is that things are better here than they are elsewhere, and it's a lie. Okay, it's all yellow journalism. It's all agenda driven. They don't show the harmonious aspects of life in China or Korea, about how there's no crime, it's ethnically homogeneous, their schools aren't fucking polluted with third world detritus refugees who can't speak the fucking language, and they have to reallocate and shift resources from their own children to teaching these Nimrod fuckhead immigrant children how to speak English. But they want to they don't extol the virtues of why these countries are better, or how these countries are operating in a better manner than in the United States. But they'll trot out these stories about, oh my goodness, there are so many single men in China. Yeah, there are a lot of single men in the West. There are a lot of single men in Sweden. There are a lot of single men in Germany. There are a lot of single men in Canada and the United States and Australia. Okay, why no news stories about that, huh? Why no news stories about that? Why don't they pick up? Why don't they interview, and they could show, you know, some. It's funny how they painted Roosh. They painted Roosh as a serial rapist. They banned him from from entering the European Union. They banned him from entering Australia. But in this article, they're praising the efforts of Xinjiang Dingpong, trying to help his brothers out with pickup artistry and tactics, and how to approach women, and how to dress good. Well, that's exactly what Roosh did. That was Roosh's bread and butter: how to pick up women, how to approach women, how to game women. And for that, he was labeled a monster. But it's funny, when a Chinese person does it, he's applauded for trying to take initiative and trying to reach that Confucius harmony. You know, but it's funny, no news article, no newspaper would publish the plight of TFLers or incels in this country, but it's splashed in the newspapers about, herbivore men in Japan and incels in China. Why the fuck should I care? Okay, I'm living it, and nobody is sympathetic to my plight. Okay, but I'm supposed to shed crocodile tears for some foreigner 12,000 miles away. Tough shit, fuckface. So yeah, be careful of this. I think it's all agenda driven. They want you to be grateful. They want you to feel grateful that you live in this country. They lie to you about other countries. They smear them as being worse than this country, because they want you to feel that life in this country is still better, okay? And they don't want you to realize just how fucking bad most people have it in this country. They don't want you to realize just how toxic the water is in your own little fishbowl. Just my thoughts on don't believe the hype regarding herbivore men, and I'm out.